Hey family, it's Raymond here from Family Meeple, and I was asked to do a follow-up video, aware that my last video in this series was looking at having printed out a proof to check, but only on paper rather than on card. So you never got to see the actual final piece that was created. So that's the purpose of this. Now, obviously, I've already done these now for the core box, so they're ready, they're done, sorted. So I'm moving on now to the rest of the Marvel United X-Men series. So this next box is the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So for this one, you get the card sets for the Force Horsemen of the Apocalypse themselves. So as a game leading up to facing off the Apocalypse, there's a special mode where you actually play up against the four horsemen and take those on with a view to them leading up to taking on Apocalypse himself. So you have his deck of cards as well. Now, what is interesting with these is actually they aren't the standard size of the rest of the villain decks. They are actually 16 cards. And as a result, it meant I had to then go back into Photoshop, as I'd displayed in the first of this trilogy of videos, and revise the netting scope and sizes. So I went in, set the millimeter size of the spines on the sides and top and bottom, made sure they were all aligned. So these were actually set to 1.5 centimeters or 15 millimeters, and the notion is that should then give us a good, comfortable level of room for these cards to very easily slip in, slip out, so we can get them in and out of the box without causing any damage. So that applies to both the Apocalypse box itself, as well as then the four horsemen. So I've just obviously gone in and just revised those graphics again as demonstrated in the first video, and then of course we've got Apocalypse himself as a hero that we can play, because obviously it's one of the new anti-hero characters introduced in the Marvel X-Men series. So we've got his hero card deck. And then additionally, for those that have got the Kickstarter exclusives, we also got the Storm Mohawk. So that came as a special edition hero. And in addition to that, we also got the standard size villain deck for a trio of villains. So this is special play for Pyro, Blob and Toad, and you actually play them all together. So they've got different activations as you play those. So and again, obviously different sort of setup rules and what have you. So apologies, it looked like my dog had been let out, so I'm just a bit curious, looking out. So somebody's got up and let the dog out, but I can't see anything because it's night time here and it's very dark outside and very light in here. I was just very aware something just went past my window, and I'm guessing it's my dog. So apologies for the distraction on my part. I'm hoping somebody's going to also then follow up by letting the dog back in. Okay, so these were, and again, so these are on cards. So these are it's only around about 220. Yep, that's definitely my dog. Only about 220 GSM, 260 GSM. I have actually got a pack of new card, and I'll put a link in the description below. Just got it off my local Amazon. Order this morning, arrived this evening, so the future boxes that I'll be printing out will be slightly thicker now, so it'll be kind of 300 GSM, but the printer's printed those out just as well as it has for these. These are perfectly good, like I say, about 220 GSM. Anything above that, perfectly good and acceptable. I do remember many years ago now, when I used to have an Epson printer, there were occasions when it struggled with the GSM, When you got to thicker cards, it would have problems picking up. Haven't had that experience at all with the HP printer I've got now. But yeah, just mention that in case you are buying cards to print these out at home. You may need to just double check your printer itself, what it says officially it can handle, and then just give it a go as to what you can fire through it. I mean, it cost me 10 quid for a pack of cards, so I wasn't overly worried and fussed. If it hadn't worked, kids would always be able to use that for paper crafts or what have you, but it worked a treat, so it wasn't an issue. But just to, again, mention those, put those out there. So in terms of cutting this then, so exactly the same as you saw previously. What I'll tend to do is I'll tend to start landscape, work my way left to right down to the middle, flip it round, work my way left to right again, and then I'll do the other way on the... Sorry, my dog's just wandering around in the back garden, bless her. Right, so again, just aware of obviously what's around it. So as I was mentioning before, I would do a light score all the way down, so that marks the fold, and then I work out from where this main body of the box is going to be. I don't want to be cutting beyond that, so that's what I use as my guidance and my template for my actual cutting. So again, I'll score first of all, so that gives me the fold, and then I'll cut. I think I heard my back door go. I think somebody's let the dog back in. Nope, dog's still wandering around. Okay. As I mentioned, I am right-handed, so I will tend to rotate it and cut this way. Obviously, any of those that are left-handed, you may find it more convenient to do the other. That is, of course, your choice of preference. So again, just scoring there lightly, cutting harder. And we'd already done that one there. So that's it for the landscape cuts. So then moving on to the portrait cuts. So again, we're going to be cutting straight across on that tab, being aware that there are the two tabs on either side. So we'll cut the ends of those. We're then going to cut into the base, and this has got a bit of a unique feature to it in terms of how it's configured, so it's worth observing that as you're preparing this at home yourselves. So score right the way across and then cut, and I'll flip, and at this point you should find, yeah, these are starting to come out. So back here on the other side again, going to cut, then going to score across the lid for the tuck. Need to then cut across the top of these tabs and score and cut on the final main part. Make sure we don't cut that final tab off. So this is where then we'll have a final clean up just on these edges here. So it's one there and one here. And I think, yeah, there was just, I think, a little bit of extra in there. Yeah, you may get the odd little niggle. We'll just take care of those. Seem to cut through this all the way through. So obviously, again, likewise, depending on the thickness of your card, will determine how much pressure you need to apply. Now, as I mentioned when I was doing the paper test, obviously I didn't then go into any further detail around the edges. With doing the actual final cut itself on card, I will make a point of doing this, and the purpose for this extra attention is very much around reducing that wear and tear when applying the tabs. They are designed very much to operate optimally with one another when you apply these cuts, so you're not fighting sort of card on card to try and get the tucks in and have enough space when you're building the box, gluing it together, etc. So it is definitely worth paying that extra bit of attention, applying those extra cuts, you know, for the sake of the little amount of time extra it takes. It's definitely worth, is my experience, undertaking those additional cuts. And again, the beauty of these things is yeah, these are tabs. They are not going to be seen once the box is sealed. You're going to momentarily see them at the point when you open up the box, and then beyond that, that's it. So you know, you don't have to be extraordinarily careful in terms of, you know, are they neat and tidy from a cuts perspective, but as I say, definitely worth taking the time and applying those extra cuts. So now I'll just be folding across those scores that we made. It gives us that nice box shape. You see that starting to form there. I'll just make sure all of these folds are ready to go before applying any of the double-sided tape. And you can see here how that design works on the base of the box. You know, I've got the almost a kind of teeth that stick out. Again, you just find that helps putting that into place. Okay, so again, this is a bit thicker, so could use slightly thicker tape rather than the 5mm. As I say, this was 1.5. So I think this is about probably about 12mm. This particular sticky tape. So it's probably, maybe not, and maybe it's, yeah, it's my dog whining, bless her. Get back in. Somebody let her out, and it's now raining. And I've got Alexa going off. Everything's going off. I think my front door's triggering. Typical fashion, you sit down to do these things, and of course people. The joys of being in a house. Family. Bless her. I will pause this and be back in a moment. And in typical fashion, the time it takes me to get up and go and have a look, somebody's opened the door and let the dog in. Joy. Okay. So we're just gonna, you know, sometimes I find I get that angle on there just depending on how I've been cutting, and when that happens, that's fine. I'll use that with what I'm doing rather than against what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Apply that there. Cut that down. Okay, so we've got the edge with the tape ready to go, and then we've got the two tabs on either side of the bottom. Again, if you've got any excess, with it being double-sided tape, it's worth just patting it down, just making sure it's not going to leave itself exposed and be at risk of potentially sticking your cards within the box. Go, and then the final tab, adherence. There it is. Okay, so, and again, exactly the same as I did with the paper test now. So I'm going to get that first tab right on that edge there. Want to make sure that gives me a nice 90-degree angle, and stick that down. That's ready to go. And then do the same on this other side here. Nice clean 90-degree angle on here, and press that down. And the advantage of taking this approach is this is the stage where you have got access to these tabs, just to really press them down, make sure you get a good adhesion. And then what I'll do is I'll fold over that tab and then try and tuck this tab in. So I'm always trying to kind of glue those two aspects, the base and the side, in one go. So then I run up to here, and again just want to make sure you get a nice clean edge along there. So again, with this box being that little bit thicker, it's good for my my chubby fingers. Get in there. If you do find, particularly with the thinner ones, the hero boxes, you do struggle, you can use a ruler just to kind of get in and just run that along the inside, just to make sure you get that good adhesion in there. And then likewise at the bottom where you've just got this tab, so you just want to make sure again you've got that nice flush finish. Boop. There we go. And that's where those little teeth really help to kind of guide you on that. So you can just push against that. And what you don't want then, you can see just inside of there, what you don't want is that, see that dark line, that's the lip on the inside, and that's where your cards are going to get stuck inside of there. You do not want that, which is why we put the double-sided tape. So you want to just push that right up against there, get that nice good seal on the inside, and that'll prevent those cards sliding in now. So there you go. So you can see now that big dark line that was there, that's now eliminated, so you don't have that in there anymore. There we go. And that's it. I mean, that's the box as is, and you can see here, so again the advantage of giving those extra bits of room on the tabs is as you poke this piece inside, it's giving you that extra bit of room for the tab to get in there without causing excessive wear and tear on these. So yeah, definitely makes a difference and is worth that extra 30 seconds effort. So you get your cards. As I say, this is a slightly bigger deck of cards. I measured it and prepared it in Photoshop, and you see they literally just slide very nicely in there. When it's time to get those particular cards out, that's it, you just dump them straight out, you're ready to go. So yeah, so there's no effort involved at all. There's no need for any sort of tab mechanisms or anything like that. You can see that there's a good level. I mean, there's a little bit of push in there, so I don't know if you can sort of see that there is there's a little bit of room. Like I say, these are premium sleeved, and that little bit of room just gives it that breathing space that makes them easy to slide in, slide out. You haven't got to mess about. It's not really tight. Again, I have found in the past, if I make the designs, the nets too tight, it just causes that extra wear and tear on the deck. The deck itself then just won't last. The top box won't last for any significant period of time. You'll find maybe after 4 or 5 uses, you're already starting to get rips and tears, and it's falling to bits. And although it's not a lot of work to replace, as I'm sure you can think, Horsemen, there's so many of these decks I'm going to be having to create. Last thing you want to be doing is continually reproducing. So So that's it for the Apocalypse villain deck. As I say, I've got the nets now for the Horsemen themselves, so I've separated those out. So you can obviously play those together or separate. You've got the Apocalypse Hero deck, so I will upload that. There'll be a link below so you can download that, so that'll be available down in this description. Got the Storm Mohawk as the Kickstarter exclusive, as well as the extra villain deck for Pyro, Blob and Toad. So I will include all of those in the link below. Please, if you've liked this, you found it useful, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, follow me on the other stuff that I'm doing. I'm going to be spending a lot of time with Marvel United. I absolutely love this system, absolutely love the game, love all the variation. I've been playing through the Season 1 campaign, so I'm going to get that finished. I've just been a case of trying to get my office organised, and particularly my office has been in particular overrun with trying to ascertain the X-Men United bits, so I've got in excess of 90% of what I need now. One of the things that may also be of interest, and I may do a separate video on, is I've got, because as I think I've mentioned, I've got all the miniatures now for the X-Men set. But what I'm missing is the gameplay components. Now, what I have done is I've secured all the hardboard components. So I've got all the villain boards, I've got all the location boards, so I've got all of that for all of the kit. I've managed to get hold of the Deadpool Kickstarter exclusive box at a very reasonable price, so that was great. And I also managed to get hold of the Gold Team Kickstarter exclusive box at a reasonable price as well. So I've got all the card play for all of those figures and components. What I don't have is the cards just for Nimrod and the Wolverine that came in this the Days of Future Past box, and I don't have any of the cards for X-Men First Class. But because I got all the cardboard components, and because I got all the plastic token components as well, so if you've not used these, seen these, they are a really nice upgrade to the original cardboard components. They are engraved, and particularly I really appreciate the attention that CMON put in, particularly for the health tokens. So they are actually embossed, embedded in such a way that when you stack them, you actually have an indent on one side and a raise on the other side. So as you stack them together, you do have to take a moment to align them, but then they don't slip around, which is a really nice thought process that they've taken the time to think that through and implement that. But yeah, just just the quality. Whoops, where am I going? There we go. The quality of these components, just really nice quality, and really do just make a difference to that premium feel of the game. But having said that, these weren't cheap. I got the plastic set for the original, which was all included. So those tokens there for the main base game, I've already got a set of those. So that particular set that you just saw there will be going to a friend of mine. But then I've got obviously then got all the extras as well. So when it comes to things like the Days of Future Past, they've got the large tokens representative of the Sentinels. So yeah, so I've got all those sort of tokens, nice big thick plastic tokens for that. So that's fantastic. It's literally just the card components I'm missing now for the Days of Future Past box and the X-Men First Class box. Otherwise, I think everything else I have now got. So I'm well out, sort of probably 98% complete. All the Kickstarter exclusive content, absolutely everything, which is fantastic. Which is such a tremendous blessing. And yeah, so I'm going to really enjoy embracing and just playing through all that. I appreciate they stepped up the ante massively with the X-Men United set compared to the original. So they've introduced much more variation. So where you've got sort of with the heroes, you've got sort of the starting hand cards. So again, just kind of giving you those extra ongoing effects that once you've put something in place and it's always face up in the storyline, then you've got an extra ability available to you. And there's quite a number of those. So the Storm Mohawk has hers, sort of Wolverine. There's lots of heroes. There's a number of heroes that don't have them. But there are many heroes that do have them, and that's great. That's fantastic. And they actually have, and I think Apocalypse is one of them. They even have some of these. So where in the original Marvel United, they had some of these sort of special setup rules that would say when you play first, when you start the hero, this is how they kind of start the game, or this particular card you have to find and play. They've marked them up now. So here we've got the starting of the master plan deck for Apocalypse. So it gives you the specific rules for when you start playing this particular scenario, or you play against the Apocalypse as a villain. This is what you can expect to face off against in that very first instance, before any of the heroes have acted, which is just great. Really nice. Attention to detail as always, off the charts, and really looking forward to when the new season 3 eventually rolls out and lands. We've got updates coming in at the moment. Some of the proofs of the miniatures being made, etc. So just great work, and again, extra variability coming alongside being introduced again with sort of things like the equipment cards, the pets, and I have to confess, apologies family, I have to confess, it was the pets that absolutely sold it for me. I think it was the low-key alligator. Love that. That was the big thing. But then it was the additional things of the sharks and stuff like that. I really love the idea of the team decks. And again, that was a massive push for me to go, do you know what? If I'm going to go in on Marvel United, I'm going to get all these wonderful team decks that say, oh, I can mix this bunch of characters and I can add in this extra component to the game. I'm going to want to have all of the set so that I can actually mix and match all those different teams, just get the fullness out of that gaming experience that has been provided. I really appreciate what CMON have done. I really appreciate the time they've taken in putting all this stuff together. I think it's fantastic, and just can't wait to get all this extra goodness to the table. But in the meantime, I'm still playing through the season 1 campaign, so please come back and join me at the table playing through those. I'm really enjoying those. Every time I get it to the table, it is tremendous fun. It's always that puzzle, trying to work out what is the villain plan, what is the master plan, what's the villain trying to do, how am I going to be trying to compete against it. I've only got certain characters that I've unlocked so far, certain heroes that I've unlocked so far that can sort of aid and abet me in doing those particular things. I've got to the point now where I'm having to introduce some of those sort of extra challenge cards as well, just adding in that extra depth and difficulty to having to strategize and work out, okay, how am I going to overcome this particular scenario. But just fantastic fun, loving the experience. If you've watched the other ones, fantastic. Really happy to have you here with me enjoying this journey. If you've not watched, please by all means check out my channel, check out those playthroughs. I'm in my new office now. Hopefully this audio is a little bit better than it has been. I'm working on stuff. I'm trying to improve things. I've upgraded the cameras now, so I've got 2K up here, 4K at the front. So just trying to sort of get things a bit more up to spec, as it were, a bit more set up, and these cameras are now just permanently set up, so I've got things in motion, and I'm just loving the journey, loving having you guys with me, loving having that sense of community. So thank you very much for watching. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe, and hopefully see you again soon at the table.